We have with us today Miss Berg. Hi, Miss Berg.
Woo! Hey!
It's so good to see you.
You too.
I miss you.
I miss you too. I miss it more than I thought I would.
Yeah, I know. Me too.
It's real. And you're not it. I mean school.
Hey, what are you doing to stay, healthy, mentally and physically during this crazy time?
Cleaning, sometimes. Going on long walks. I have found places in Northeast Minneapolis and by the river and by the falls and by just really weird places to walk.
What a cool blessing in disguise.
Yep, who knew? And and going with different people.
Yeah.
You know, and so not often by myself. Usually someone wants to go too. But yeah, long walks, that keeps me from losing it. Yeah, for sure.
I love seeing all the pictures of your walks.
I do, I know. I try not to post as many now.
I love them. There's no reason to stop.
Oh,
okay, so inquiring minds want to know. There's so many things we need to know about Miss Berg. You're such a mystery.
Yeah, I bet.
You're going to love your intro, by the way. You don't even know what that means.
No, I don't.
Question 1. Where were you born?
I was born in Watertown, South Dakota.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, and is that where you grew up?
No, well, we were living in Hayti. My dad's a pastor, or was a pastor. He's retired now. And we grew up in a little town called Hayti. I grew up in a little town called Hayti, South Dakota. And so we had to drive to Watertown, my mom did, when I was born. And then I stayed in Hayti out in the country. I mean, I was across the street from farm equipment. But only till I was 4. But those are my early memories, is farm equipment and fields.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yep. And then I moved to Minneapolis. And
at what
I
age?
lived here.
When did you move to Minneapolis?
When I was 4.
Okay.
And so I went to Standish Elementary, which doesn't exist anymore. And I went to preschool. Well, I guess before Standish, I went to preschool at Hiawatha Park. And then I went to Falwell, and then I went to Roosevelt.
Which is that's right where I'm sitting right now. I live right in between everything you just mentioned.
I love that neighborhood. I loved growing up there. Yeah, it was a good time.
And do you have brothers and sisters?
I do. I have an older sister, and I have 2 younger brothers.
Very nice. Mm-hmm. What did your parents do for a living? You mentioned that your dad was a pastor. Did your mother work outside of the house?
You know what? She didn't at first. She was a teacher. She was a kindergarten teacher, but they told her she would have to go back and student teach before she could teach here because she had her license in South Dakota. Yeah, but so she was a substitute teacher after that. And then she did Sunday school at the church because that's what you did. It was a twofer. You got my dad and you got my mom.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see, where was I? Oh, when you were 16, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, an actor.
That was a quick answer.
There was no question. And what's weird is we hardly had any theater in my high school. I was in 1 play and 1 musical, and then no one wanted to do theater anymore, so it was shut down. So yeah, but my dad loved theater, and so we did Lenten dramas, and so I was in the shows at my church, and there weren't many, but yeah, I loved theater, and when I went to college, that's immediately what I started doing. Yep. I wanted to be an actor.
That's so cool. So, I'm going to add in a few questions here outside of the norm because having wanted to be an actor, you went to college at Concordia Moorhead, right?
Yep.
And then did you go to New York then?
No, I went to Concordia Moorhead, then I went to the Jesuit Volunteer Corps. I'm Lutheran, but that was a really short application compared to the Lutheran form, so it was 1 page. Catholics go, do you want to come do this? I said yes. Lutherans, it's a 50-page application. So I was a Jesuit for a year. I went to Milwaukee and I taught at a small alternative high school right downtown.
How cool.
So, yeah, it was. I learned a lot. I had really great mentors. It was all people of color and me, and so it was a really good life lesson.
Nice.
And it was good. It was total immersion in being the person who's different, which I think is good for anyone to do. So.
How long did you do that?
Just for 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
I could have stayed, but I came back to Minneapolis and I worked at Plymouth Youth Center. I taught there. I was a jewelry buyer for Ingebrigtsens, and I worked at a home. I was the activities weekend coordinator for a mentally handicapped group home.
So cool.
And then I did that for a year, and then I moved to New York City.
And so how was that? What was that transition like? Just like, I'm just going to do it? Or was it super planned out? Or how did you do it?
It was planned out, sort of, because what I did was I knew I wanted to go. I didn't know anyone there, and that was the draw, that I didn't know anybody. And so I bought a one-way plane ticket, and anyone who knew anybody in Manhattan, I would write to that person and say, I know you know this person. And then when I got out there, I called people and just said, that's how I got to know someone in Princeton. Some of my first friends there were just people I randomly wrote to.
Yeah.
And so I stayed at a friend of a friend's apartment on her floor for, she was nice, for 3 weeks. And then I got an apartment through the Village Voice.
Through the Village Voice.
Woohoo! I was like thoroughly modern Millie.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and then I got a job at a bank, and then we started a theater company, and I was a compensation analyst, and then I worked at a seminary, and then I taught school before I came back here.
Crazy. Can you just real quickly, like, what was your audition experience like in New York City? Because the truth is that a lot of the theater kids and the music theater kids who are watching this, this is maybe stuff they haven't heard or maybe heard just little bits of. And I think it'd be really interesting because I've been watching a lot of Stars in the House, which is a Seth Rudetsky thing where they're raising money for the Actors Fund during this time.
Yeah,
because they have to raise $250,000 a day to pay for out-of-work actors and ushers and hair and wig people and costumers and wedding singers and, so anyone who's in the performing arts can gather funds. And they're just dying because they have their what's that called? Their endowment is just dwindling like crazy during this time. So, but I was watching that and hearing all these stories about auditions and all these stories about like being in a show and funny things happening, and it's so fun to watch. So, Stars in the House, people, check it out. It's free. It's on YouTube. Anyway, so like, what was auditioning like for you, and what was that experience?
That was where I learned about the social construct of height, and that if I was taller than my quote-unquote love interest, that I wouldn't get cast. But I went to a lot of auditions where I would stand in a line with people who were whatever the demographic they were looking for.
Yeah.
So tall, blonde people. And I'd be around a lot of people who weren't tall or blonde. And then I learned just to start going to auditions no matter who's there, because like Dustin Hoffman got the role that Ryan O'Neal should have gotten for The Graduate. So, people will change their minds, so you just decide to do that. But the one I regret that I gave up when I did in terms of those kind of open auditions, because I had I had an acting coach on the Upper East Side, Judy McGee, who was an original Follies person. She was amazing. I did a lot of scenes with the people, Dustin Hoffman's co-workers in Merchant of Venice, because I was her student and they were just great people. And I think I wished I would have tried different routes more. But I know, finally I was at this third audition, and they brought in the guy from LA who was going to play the opposite me. And he walked in, and he stood next to me, and he was shorter than I was. And, of course, they did that thing where they all went, could you try reading it sitting down? And so I know. And so I did. And they said, thank you very much. And the director ran out, or the assistant director ran out after me and said, we really liked you. And of course I didn't get it. And that's the one thing I regret, that I let someone else decide for me that it was time to quit, but then we formed our own theater company and, did incredible shows and world premieres even.
Oh, cool. What was the name of the company?
Just Undercroft Theater Company.
Undercroft.
Because it was under a church, and we were able to find space, so we found it. That's what we called ourselves. We had great actors. I mean, we did a new adaptation of The Cherry Orchard. We did a Timothy Mason play, just the first one that he wanted to get. I mean, we were good, and that then fed me in that way.
Yeah. So what happened with the company? Did a lot of people start getting other work, and they had to move on, or?
No, we started bringing in all new people. We would bring in new people and cast new people. What happened was eventually I had Barrett, and then we decided to move back to Minneapolis because we just couldn't afford to live in Manhattan anymore as a teacher and an artist, you know?
Right.
So we moved, and then we were looking at apartments in New Jersey, and then if we're going to live in New Jersey, we might as well move back to Minneapolis. And Minneapolis has a great theater scene, so it's a good place. It's a good place to be. But yeah, no, it was fun. I lived there 8 years. I had a really great time. Really, I look very fondly back on all those memories. Yeah.
Well, I love picking your brain about this, and we could go on forever. I've heard so many of your stories and just learned so much more just now talking to you. It's so much fun. Just like us standing in the office talking like we always do. Now, the inquiring minds out there, the students have so many questions because you're such a mystery. So, let's see.
I bet.
I jumped out. Oh, there's where I jumped out. What is your favorite thing about being a teacher? If you have to find or pick one, or what is your favorite part of being a teacher?
The favorite part about being a teacher is when you're doing something that, kids come in and they're like, I'm going to hate this. I mean, like humans do, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not going to like this book. I'm not going to like this play. I'm not going to like this class. I'm not going to like you, whatever, And it's really fun when you see them flip. Like, they're in something, they're playing some game, and all of a sudden they're like, I love this, or I want to do this. Or a kid that, the kid who walked in accidentally when I was auditioning. He was the only one, this is way back in the day, and Muhammad, and he walked in and he's like, whoa, and I went, hi, want to audition for the show? And he did, and then he ended up being a theater major at McAllister, and now he's overseas doing theater. And, I love that part of it, like, especially because, well, I'd like it in English too, but when it clicks.
Yeah. And
you realize, I could do this for a living, or I could just really love being in this environment, or that. That's my favorite part about
teacher. What is your go-to karaoke song?
Stand By Your Man.
Shut the front door. Really? That is so awesome.
Sometimes it's hard to be a woman. Oh yeah, that's my song.
Oh my God, I love it. Oh, what else do I want to ask you? Oh, if you could go back in time, what time would you travel to?
Oh boy. God, that's a hard question. I'm going to say the stereotypical English theater answer. I would go back to Shakespeare's time. I would love to watch theater start.
Yeah. Did you wonder what it was like? Like, we projected all these things as to what we think it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would love to go back and go to the Globe or go to the Rose Theater or just walk the streets and hear people talk. And I don't know. Because, like you said, I have an idea because I've studied it so much, and I'd love to watch for something that has longevity of hundreds of years where it started. Yeah. I love that.
Great answer. Other than theater, do you have any hobbies?
Yeah. Well, I have a 2-year degree in film. I love film editing. I'm a writer. I should write more. I'm writing a novel. But I'm thinking, I bought a screenwriting program finally. I think it's a novel, but I'm like stuck. And so I bought this screenwriting program that's the cheaper one because I couldn't afford the expensive one. And I'm going to start putting it into a movie. I feel like it's a screenplay. It was supposed to be a screenplay, but it turned into a novel when I got my master's, and now it's going back to a screenplay.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, well, I hope it gets done before I...
When is it set? What time period is it set?
It's set turn of the century in South Dakota. It's I've been studying, my master's was studying women, immigrants, and looking at primary sources and what it was like to be a Norwegian immigrant woman and in that world. It was fascinating. I interviewed a lot of women who are over 100 years old, and they told me about their moms.
Wow.
And so I got incredible stories, and that's why this pandemic intrigues me so much, because if anything a kid writes right now or I write, or any of us write, it's a primary source. 50 years from now, people will read those things. They'll be in the Library of Congress. I'm just fascinated. So I think, the kind of ethnocentric stuff that was going on then, and then of course the displacement of Native peoples and there's just it's such a complex period for women, and so that's what my novel's about.
So students, pause. Students, perfect time to create. Use your art, use your writing, use your skills, use your creativity, and document, because this time will affect that and inform whatever you're creating in such an important way. It's so cool to hear you say that, Miss Berg, because I started doing some recording myself here at home, and I have to be quiet because I'm out on the front porch late at night with my guitar and singing different layers of parts and the stupid songs I'm writing. But it's documenting. If nothing else, it's just documenting like this time for me. And I've also been doing playlists. I've been doing a playlist every couple days.
Nice.
I did one the other day called Wild Mood Swings.
Oh, that's cool.
Is exactly what I was going through at the time. But anyway, yes, students, create. Use this time to create. And we want to see everything you've done. And read it and hear it and watch it.
Yeah, because, it won't be that many years. People are going to be writing books, plays, movies, songs. There's just going to be a wealth of information that you're going to be able to do. It's cool.
It's kind of like the AIDS crisis. There was all this unbelievable art that came out of that struggle.
Absolutely.
And that was a certain group of people. This is everybody.
Right.
It's so universal.
Yeah, across the world. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, other than necessities, what is one thing you could not go without daily?
Oh, man. Geez. The ability to listen to music, I guess. Because I realize I do that every day. I would say that.
What is one of your pet peeves?
When you perfectly construct an answer for something to someone and it feels really like, and then they go, what? Yeah, that's a piece.
So basically you're annoyed by stupid people. I'm kidding, but not really.
And I'm that person sometimes, let's be real. But not very often. No, just kidding.
That's a really good response. Who would you want to play you in a movie of your life? They do not have to be living.
That's what?
They do not have to be living currently.
Marilyn Monroe. No. Okay. No. I don't know. So, you know who, oh god. She's really hot right now. Blythe Danner's daughter. Oh, what's her name?
Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, her, or the person who was in Marriage Story and played the therapist, Laura Dern.
Oh, I love Laura Dern.
I love her.
She is so good.
Yeah, she's what I'm thinking of. I really like her as a person. I just think, nice. She could be my...
If you had a warning label, what would it be?
A warning label?
Like, avoid contact with eyes. It could be anything like that.
Well, right now, in this crisis, it would be do not touch.
Nice. Okay.
That's a funny question.
I could do this for hours with you. You're so fun to talk to. Okay, the following questions are loosely based on noted French author Marcel Proust's character questions.
Okay.
When possible, try to answer with one word or a brief answer. Please answer honestly and don't overthink it. Okay? What's your favorite word?
Home.
What is your least favorite word?
The.
What do you consider to be your greatest achievement?
Family.
How would you describe your current state of mind?
Scattered.
What occupation other than yours would you like to try?
Filmmaker.
What occupation other than yours would you not like to try?
Sewer cleaner.
When and where are you the most happy?
South Dakota.
What is something you dislike?
Mud.
What are you afraid of?
that ghosts talking back to me.
Oh, there it is. Which talent that you do not have would you most like to have?
Oh, agility.
What is a quality you most value in a friend?
Humor.
What sound or noise do you love?
Birds.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Ugh. Grating. Like, you know, that.
And last question, unfortunately. If you were to die and come back as a person or thing, what do you think it would be?
Oh. I would like to come back as Quentin Tarantino. I would love to know what that feels like.
Thank you so much for sharing yourself with us today. It is so appreciated.
Thank you, Mr. Fisher.
All right. Thanks for joining us on In the Hot Seat with Miss Berg. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.